The top stories tonight in Y News. The self-confessed gunman in the killing of broadcaster Percy Lapid surrenders to authorities, revealing his cohorts and who paid them to pull off the assassination.
Justice Secretary Boying Remulla rejects growing calls for his resignation following the arrest of his son on drug charges last week.
The country detects cases of the highly transmissible Omicron XBB subvariant and XBC variant cases.
The Department of Health approved Sinovac's COVID-19 vaccine for kids ages 6 to 17.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, the 18th of October, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harleen Delgado.
First in the news, the gunman who killed radio journalist Percival Mabasa on October 3, commonly known as Percy Lapid, is already in police custody. The DILG ascertained that the confessed gunman was not a fall guy. Leia Ilagan reports why.
Fear for his life and bothered by his conscience. This is why Joel Estorial, the gunman of Percy Lapid, surrendered to the authorities. Estorial accepted his participation in the crime.
Kasi po, sir, yung namin po doon usapan, kung sino po ang matapat doon sa kay Percy po, siya po ang babaril. Nagkataon po, natapat sa akin. Sabi naman po, pag hindi ko binaril, ako po ang papatayin. Kaya na binaril ko na po si Percy.
The alleged gunman also named his cohorts in Lapid's death.
Natakot po ako. Tsaka nakonsensya po sa paggawa kaya Percy Lapid po.
Sino nag-utos sa iyo?
Galing po sa loob, sir. Sa bilibid po.
Okay, sino mga kasama mo?
Sa Israel po, Di Makulangan at si Edmond Di Makulangan at si Orle po. Hindi ko po alam tunay niyang apelyido.
Estorial said they were given 550,000 pesos to kill Lapid.
Magkano binayad sa iyo?
550 po. 1,000 po.
550,000 sa iyo lang o sa buong team mo? Ilan ba kayong team?
Sa lahat na po. Kasama po yung sa loob, bali 6.
So, 6 kayo, 550,000 ang binayad.
Opo.
So, may natangkap ka bang pera pagkatapos?
Opo. Inulog po sa bank account ko po, sa BDO. Kasi po, sir, natihati namin po. 140 po, sir.
Magkano?
140.
Secretary Abalos said the result of the PNP forensic ballistics exam matched with Estorial.
Ang tanong ng publiko, totoo ba yung sumuko na yan or is he just a fall guy? Okay. Hindi po, siya talaga. Hindi niya lang inamin because the gun itself would match the slug. Nag-match yung ballistics. Number 1. Number 2, yung mga damit na pinunit-punit niya. Nandun pa rin talagang damit niya po ito.
The DILG Secretary also said that the PNP's investigation continues in order to unmask the mastermind and know the motive of the killing. Secretary Abalos also appeals to the public to assist the PNP in locating the Di Makulangan brothers and a certain Orly who are also involved in the killing. Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
A lawmaker wants the Senate to investigate the killing of broadcaster Percy Lapid following the confession of the alleged hitman. Senator Bong Revilla filed a resolution directing the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs to conduct an inquiry on the claim of the suspected gunman Joel Estorial that the order to kill Lapid was planned inside the New Bilibid prison. The senator says there is a need to look into the state of the National Penitentiary and uncover whether prisoners are unlawfully granted special treatment and undue advantage to run their criminal acts. And should the claims be proven true, the lawmaker underscores the need to institute reforms inside the NBP. Aside from Revilla, Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Coco Pimentel has also asked the Philippine National Police to continue the investigation and find the mastermind behind the killing.
Meanwhile, Department of Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Boying Remulla stated he will not step down from his post. This amid calls for him to resign. Dante Amento tells us why.
Justice Secretary Crispin Remulla clarified it is the President's decision for him to remain in the post. This amid some calls for his resignation over the issue of his son. But he will talk to the President if he is no longer effective as Justice Chief.
I will not comment anymore on other issues there. But it will not happen. That is not my call. I am a very honorable person when it comes to this. It's the President's call. And if I feel later on that I am not anymore effective in this position, then I will talk to the President about whatever has to be done in the future.
The Justice Chief said he will refrain from discussing about his son.
No comment. But I know myself. I know. It's not only me on trial here. It's my son on trial. It's the country in trial in some ways. But it's par for the course. It happens. And no more comment on that.
He will let the court handle the case and that he would not want to reach the case in DOJ.
That's the only question that was asked me by the lawyers who I talked to. And sabi ko, if there is a resolution, do not let it reach the DOJ. Let it be discussed in court, whatever the case may be.
Remulla also refused to respond whether he has a plan to visit his son. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Boying Remulla reiterated that he will not resign from his post amid the arrest and filing of drug charges against his son Juanito Remulla III. Human rights advocate attorney Chel Jokno, however, said that Secretary Remulla should still remain impartial regarding the case. Aideen Cerudo will tell us why.
Justice in the country should remain fair, according to human rights advocate attorney Chel Jokno. This is amid the filing of drug charges against the son of Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Boying Remulla, Juanito Remulla III, after he was arrested Monday last week in connection to a 1.25 million pesos worth of kush or high-grade marijuana.
Secretary Remulla should create a firewall between himself and the investigation of that case, yung mismong preliminary investigation and the whole yung paglilitis ng kasong yan.
Jokno also said there have been cases where the public deemed the decision unfair and this should be prevented with regard to the case of Secretary Remulla's son.
It's inevitable na i-compare yan sa pagtrato sa ordinaryong mamamayan. And I believe the entire machinery, yung sinasabi natin, the government pillars of the justice system, should really take extra care to show that they are not favoring anyone who just because they are related to the Secretary of Justice in this case.
Meanwhile, he also calls on the government, particularly the executive branch, to create policies to improve the justice system in the country. Based on the report of Secretary Remulla, the country only has 25% conviction rate, which is lower compared to other countries with 80 to 90% conviction rate.
It's the certainty of punishment that stops criminals. Pag alam ng criminal na mahuhuli siya, makukulong siya, siyempre magdadalawang isip yan. Pero kung 25% lang ang conviction rate, ay de masaya ang mga kriminal dito sa atin.
Aileen Sarudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Supreme Court has announced on Tuesday that it will hear oral arguments on the petition filed by veteran election lawyer Romulo Makilintal contesting the new law that delayed the barangay elections. The oral arguments will begin at 3 p.m. on October 21, according to the Supreme Court. Respondents were asked to submit their responses to the petition within 3 days, no later than noon than 12 p.m. on Friday.
First cases of Omicron subvariants XBB and XBC have been discovered in the Philippines, according to the Department of Health. Based on the latest genome sequencing result, 81 cases of XBB subvariant were detected and 193 cases of XBC variant were also found in the country. Of the 193 XBC cases, 176 have recovered. 3 are still undergoing isolation. 5 patients have died, while the health outcomes of the 9 other patients are still being checked by the DOH. Meanwhile, of the 81 XBB cases, 70 patients have already recovered. 8 are still undergoing isolation, and the health status of the other 3 individuals are still being verified. Vergeres said that Omicron XBB has been the primary cause of new COVID-19 spikes in Singapore. This Omicron subvariant has been detected also in Australia, Bangladesh, Denmark, India, Japan, and the United States. The XBC variant is still under monitoring and investigation as classified by the United Kingdom Health Security Agency.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. convened the members of his economic team. According to NEDA Director General and Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, they have discussed issues affecting the country such as inflation, interest rates, and foreign exchange. Nel Maribohok reports.
The Marcos administration's economic managers assured the public that they are closely monitoring the rise in the country's inflation rate and the depreciation of the peso, adding that the Philippines is on track to meet its short and medium-term objectives.
We tackle these short-term challenges that we have discussed, and this pertain to the current inflation, the exchange rate, and interest rates, and what we need to do to assure our people that we are on track and we are not detracted by these developments and achieving our short-term and medium-term goals.
While the Philippines cannot escape the effects of these global headwinds, according to Secretary Balisacan, the administration is mindful of these challenges. He claimed that they are worried about the country's inflation rate.
We are particularly concerned about higher inflation. Our analysis shows that sustained increases in inflation in 2022 and 2023 will cause a slowdown in our economic growth, translating into a GDP level lower by 0.6% in 2023 than its expected level had there been no sustained inflation shock.
The public was reassured by the NEDA chief that the recent increase in inflation is just temporary and that it is anticipated to slow down and return to the medium-term target range of 2 to 4%. Secretary Balisacan said the government has developed critical policy and legislative priorities to address the economy's short-term and medium-term issues in the next 6 years through the medium-term fiscal program and Philippine Development Plan framed by the 8-point socio-economic agenda. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Maynilad needs more reservoir to supply the growing demand of water. MWSS, on the other hand, asks the water concessionaire on the continuous implementation of water service interruption. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Continuous water service interruption will still be experienced by some Maynilad customers, but this will be the shorter compared to last week according to the concessionaire. The request for additional allocation from Angat Dam was approved to augment their water source from Ipo Dam. Maynilad explains that they have to continue the off-peak water service interruption to fill reservoir and be able to demand during daytime or peak hours.
So naramdaman na natin yung increased releases at ang nangyari dahil na-improve na nga yung elevation sa Ipo, we were able to revert back to the original off-peak interruption schedule.
But according to MWSS, they want Maynilad to explain why are they still implementing water service interruption.
We want to ask them why, despite the fact that they were given additional allocation, why they're still continuing water service interruption.
Maynilad said that they are now constructing additional treatment plants to augment water supply like the one that will source water from Laguna Lake. But they emphasize the need for a larger source of water aside from Angat Dam.
We need another long-term source dahil patuloy pa rin na lumalaki ang populasyon at yung ating existing sources na apektuhan na yan ng epekto ng climate change.
Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has again pushed for the creation of a Department of Water Resources. Meanwhile, the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System, or MWSS, supports the creation of the said department. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
There is no leading department for the country's water management. According to the project manager of the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System, or MWSS, Engineer Patrick Dizon, due to the lack of a unified department, it is a challenge to implement projects under various government agencies. With the creation of a Department of Water Resources, projects to improve the supply and sanitation of water will be more streamlined.
Ma-align po ng department na to yung mga plans and programs ng each agency. So mapaprioritize po nila kung ano yung priority projects na dapat i-implement po natin. We are supportive on the creation po ng Department of Water kasi yung Department of Water will be one of the apex body na mag-head ng all of the water industries sa Philippines or agencies sa Philippines.
Meanwhile, several bills were already filed in the Senate and the lower chamber of Congress for the creation of the Department of Resources in the country. One of the bills filed is Senate Bill number 102, filed by Senator Grace Poe. Senate Bill number 102 also seeks to create an independent body called the Water Regulatory Commission that will set the policy for water supply, sewerage, and septage management. The said body will also initiate investigations on erring officials and ensure the welfare of consumers. Senator Poe sees the swift passage of the Water Department bill, especially when the chief executive sounded the alarm over the country's precarious water supply situation. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
A lawmaker has renewed his call for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to appoint a separate agriculture secretary. Meanwhile, presidential sister Senator Amy Marcos hopes the president will finally get angry with smugglers. This report will tell us why.
Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Coco Pimentel believes it is high time for the country to have a separate secretary that will lead the Department of Agriculture, or DA. Today, Pimentel renewed the call of the Senate Minority Bloc for the president to appoint a full-time agriculture secretary as the Senate Finance Subcommittee tackled the proposed budget of the DA for next year. The Senate leader believes that the agency's secretary must be an expert on agriculture matters who will focus on the issues of the agriculture sector, especially food production.
For example, itong engagement ng department with Congress, wala siya kasi wala siya as Secretary of Agriculture. Naintindihan naman namin kasi buong bansa po yung inaasikaso po ng ating presidente. To avoid more or potential fiascos also in the future, mag-appoint ka na po ng
When asked on the matter during a press conference, Senator Amy Marcos also believes the president should not stay at the helm of the Agriculture Department for too long. The presidential sister says she wants her brother to get angry with agricultural smugglers.
I was hoping, and I'm still hoping, na once and for all, magalit na siya sa mga smuggler. Natigilan na yung agricultural smuggling na walang tigil. Siyempre, marami tayong kaibigan dito sa Cebu, marami tayong kaibigan sa Mindanao. So I'm hopeful that he'll finally get angry at hulihin lahat yan at may konting fear factor kahit papano ang office of the president. So that was the intention, but not to hang on to the Department of Agriculture for a long time. Dapat yung malalakas na USEC, sila na magpatakbo. Pero kinakailangan siguro, magalit na yung Pangulo natin at paghuhuli na yung mga tanyag na nagpapasok ng kung ano-ano.
In today's budget hearing, Senator Raffy Tulfo also urged the Agriculture Department to curb smuggling activities in various ports in the country by conducting random inspection of container vans with suspected smuggled vegetables. The Senate Finance Subpanel will conduct another hearing tomorrow to deliberate the proposed budget of other attached agencies of the DA. Jorge Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board will review another petition of Transport Group for fare increase only during rush hour. JP Nunez will tell us why.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, said it already received a petition from transport groups for a new fare surge during rush hour. LTFRB states that it might cause inflationary effect in the economy. However, the agency sets aside this concern to further study the details of the petition. The new fare surge petition was filed by Pasang Mazda, Alliance of Transport Operators and Drivers Association of the Philippines, or ALTODAP, and Alliance of Concerned Transport Organizations, or ACTO. The transport groups asked the board to allow public utility jeepneys to collect additional 1 peso and 2 pesos for public utility buses from current minimum fare per passenger.
Ito nga yung biglang pagtaas ng ating mga petroleum products and diesel na ginagamit ng mga jeepney drivers pagkat sobra-sobra na itinaas, halos 10 piso na itaas. Ito yung napakabigat na para sa akin.
Pasang Mazda National President Roberto Martin, one of the petitioner, explained that rush hour fare surge is the solution for public transport drivers to cope up with the increasing fuel price. Transport Group seeks approval of the board to allow surge fare only during peak hours or from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., except on Sundays and national holidays.
Yan kasi ang malakas na konsumo ng mga diesel namin sapagkat nakita natin halos hindi gumagalaw ang traffic at hindi mobile ang ating masakyan. Kanya yun ang malakas ang konsumo ng diesel.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
At least 4 people have been killed after a firefighter jet crashed into a residential building in southern Russia. Iya De Vera will give us the details live. Iya? A Russian military aircraft engulfed an apartment block in Yeysk, Russia in fire as tons of fuel exploded on impact, leaving 25 people injured and 8 in grave condition on top of the reported deaths. According to authorities, at least 17 apartments were affected by the incident and around 250 people, including 40 children, were evacuated. The 2 crew members of the aircraft were ejected safely. Regional Governor Veniamin Kondratiev stated that emergency services were already on the scene and were working to put out the fire. The crash was said to have occurred during a training flight from a military airfield, with the crew members reporting that an engine had caught fire shortly after takeoff. Russia's investigative committee has opened a criminal case for the incident, and investigators have been sent to the scene. Back to you, Elsie. Thank you, Iya De Vera, for that live report.
UK Prime Minister Liz Truss apologized for recent errors in economic policy and declared that she would lead the Conservative Party in the upcoming general election. She said that she was still dedicated to accelerating UK economic growth, but acknowledged that it will now take more time to accomplish. She added her old premiership wasn't been perfect, but she had fixed mistakes, and what they need to do now is move and deliver for the country, because that's only what people care about. Japanese Prime Minister Fumiya Kishida has ordered an investigation into the Unification Church after former Premier Shinzo Abe was assassinated last July. Nerissa Dando will tell us why live. Nerissa?
Good evening, Elsie. Under the Religious Corporations Act, Prime Minister Kishida intends to resolve the growing accusations of the public that the Unification Church had left many of them impoverished. It was revealed that several members of Kishida's Liberal Democratic Party are tied to the church, including former Premier Shinzo Abe, whose suspected killer has a mother believed to have been bankrupted by the church. Kishida apologized to the church followers who were left to face financial and mental health troubles. He added that he is taking allegations seriously and that relief measures will be provided for the victims. The investigations will start this year with no exact date of when it will be completed. Keiko Nagaoka, future minister in charge of the investigation, stated that a dissolution order may likely be warranted to the church. Kishida disclosed that he does not have personal ties to the Unification Church, and neither does the party have any organizational links to it. Elsie?
Thank you, Nerissa Danda, for that report. A new study reveals that hair straightening products may cause a uterine cancer in Black women. Mancilia will tell us why, live. Yes, Annie?
Good evening, Elsie. The findings published Monday by the Journal of National Cancer Institute revealed that women who use chemical hair straightening products have twice the risk of uterine cancer. Data shows that majority of users of straightening products in the United States are Black women. The studies spring from a previous research that found the link between permanent hair dye and straighteners and breast and ovarian cancers. Hair straighteners contain various harmful chemicals, including endocrine disruptors, according to lead author and cancer epidemiologist Alexandra White. These chemicals, which have adverse health effects for hormone-sensitive cancers, led the author to extend their previous study, now focusing only on uterine cancer. 3% of all new cancers account for uterine cancer, but it is the most common cancer of the female reproductive system. More than 65,000 new cases of uterine cancer and 12,500 deaths are expected this year based on the data. Meanwhile, scientists loaded the study and are calling for action. The lead author said more work is required, however, including more population studies to confirm the conclusions. Elsie?
Thank you, Annie Mancilia, for that live report. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Elsie Marcos, live from Auckland, New Zealand. Good evening.
Over 40,000 overstaying workers of Philippine Overseas Gaming Operation, or POGO, faces deportation starting this week. DOJ sets the initial move on October 19 amid proof that the country has lost billions due to undeclared taxes from POGO. According to the Department of Justice, to DOJ Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, this would be a self-deportation. He added that the Bureau of Immigration has already canceled their visas.
Meanwhile, the Bureau of Quarantine has scrapped the implementation of the One Health Pass, which is utilized by arriving passengers from international flights. The BOQ stated that it has been replaced with an e-arrival card. The e-arrival is now in effect at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport's Terminal 1, 2, and 3.
The Department of Health approved Sinovac as COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 6 to 17. DOH officer in charge, Maria Rosario Vergara, says that this is based on the recommendation of the Health Technology Assessment Council. DOH data shows some 15.2 million fully vaccinated children and adolescents.
Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
Before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, verse 33. It says, "Hear instruction and be wise, and refuse it not." Those are the reasons behind the news October 18, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.